both developments with certain modifications and conditions. So why don't we first talk to the people who are here for Greenpoint Landing. You've seen what our conditions and modifications are, and so I'd like to give you a chance to address those conditions, those modifications. I think almost everyone who is on the land use committee is familiar with your presentation from the various public hearings. But certainly anyone here from the board can ask any other questions.
So we do have a very simple format. We run a bit and then we won't talk to the short. My name is Melanie Myers. I'm an attorney with Green Frank Carriage Driver. Yes, and where would you like me? Is this better? Okay, and I apologize for the people behind me. My name is Melanie Myers. I'm an attorney with Green Frank Carriage Driver in Jacobson, and we represent Greenpoint Landing Associates. And I think you all know that the actions before you really do relate to some city property that's in the middle of the larger Greenpoint Landing property. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to take a look at your recommendation. I would hope that we could turn it into an approval with conditions. But so I did want to talk about how I am understanding your recommendations and talk about both the actions that are before you, which are very specific to city property, as well as talk a little bit about the larger Greenpoint Landing project, because some of the comments that you've had here, I think we might be able to address in a broader perspective. So the first comment is regarding the requirement or the need for the entire project to be included as an inclusionary housing plan. And as a matter of fact, the entire project will be. Our project requires 20% affordable in order for the development to proceed. And that will require us, with regards to our own, right for the moment we're talking about the 20% that's required for our project. They will be part of an affordable housing plan, and that 20% affordable will be affordable in perpetuity. So that's for the larger Greenpoint Landing project. For the city affordable housing, the additional 431 units that are part of this project, at least 138 of those units will also be permanently affordable. And so, and
At least how many?
138. So we will be creating 950 units overall from the Greenpoint Landing project. The additional 138 from the city's property would result in, my math is going to be bad, 1,078 units of permanently affordable housing. That does mean that the other city units could be for a term of years, but I just wanted you to understand that we in fact will have the entire project as an affordable housing plan, and virtually most of the affordable that's part of the project will be permanently affordable.
Why would some of them possibly not be permanently affordable?
Because they have different income ranges, and the waterfront plan and the legislation that applies to this area requires that for purposes of zoning, for the 20%, it needs to be permanently affordable. And the part of the city's property that's being added to it, what the 138 units represents, is 20% of the city's floor area. So again, we'll have, at the end of the day, about 1,088, because my number was wrong, units of affordable housing.
Permanent or no?
Permanent affordable housing.
Perpetuity?
In perpetuity. And that's out of the overall amount of affordable on the site would be about 1,362 units.
Out of 1,362.
Yeah.
And the ones that are not affordable, that are not in perpetuity, are those of the higher range?
It would be of the higher range.
Which higher range?
It would certainly be the ones that are at the 120% range, and it would also include some of the ones at 80% as well.
However, our recommendation, with respect to just the units that we're talking about now, recommends that the AMIs be restricted to from 40 to 60%. So if there were no 100% or 120% AMIs, if the city agreed with that, then they would be in perpetuity, right?
Actually, I mean, again, I think what we're saying is that, and this is a discussion that can be continued, but that of the units that would be on, it would be the 1,088 that I talked about, which we would be able to say and commit to being in perpetuity at this point.
Does anybody have a question from the committee? Any board member have a question? Say it again. Yes?
That's the 20% mandate to get the 421A, that's the 1,000 units.
Correct.
So it's not a gift.
No, I know, we're just telling, that's why I made it clear that it was the 20%.
But again, of the 431 units, we are asking that the AMI be restricted to lower than 80%.
Yes.
In that case, if we were successful in getting the city to agree to that, would those units have to then be in perpetuity?
At a technical level, I think the answer to that question is no. We certainly understand that that's the request that we're seeing at the recommendation tonight. So we understand that that's part of the recommendation. But I wanted to just sort of explain where we were at this point. And I think just one more statement about that. You know that all of these programs are programs that we work with HPD, so we have a partner on it. So I think we can also certainly commit that we can work with our partners to see whether or not more a permit is feasible. But again, this is where we are today.
So sure.
Well, was never raised before at the public hearing. How do you see your position on utilizing senior housing Tool 2 program? Can you incorporate that into the proposal?
I mean, I think
because that wasn't even discussed at the
wasn't.
meetings, and obviously you know that has to be underscored as a serious issue for our community.
No.
How are you going to approach that?
I mean, it's interesting. One of the things, I mean, again, we have the applications and the actions that are before you tonight. And when we started talking with the city about those units, that 431 units, we started from the points of agreement, which did talk about a distribution of income. And so that's sort of the programs that we've initially been talking to APD about have been programs that allow for a range of incomes. The first project, the one that we talked about, this E3 at the corner of Eagle, we're well underway. And the income levels that we have for that project are pretty much fixed at this point. We're happy to continue to talk to HPD about the rest of them, about whether there's other programs for those projects. But in addition to that, one of the things, and I'm going to get to 202, but I'm sort of talking about sort of the AMI levels. When the developers started talking to HPD and starting to look at affordable housing programs, one of the first programs that they started looking at was 202 housing. And it's something that they would like to see as part of the project, and it's something that they certainly would continue to look at for its affordable housing, as well as possibly the 431, but that's something they could look at. What they ended up doing, and I'm talking to HPD about, is a second project, which is actually the LAMP program, which you made a recommendation about. So we're not only talking to HPD right now about the what we keep calling the points of agreement with the range of incomes from 40 to 100%. But we are simultaneously and hoping to close on the same day on another project, which is a land project that would be located right here. That's a 93-unit project. And what that would be 100, it would be from 40 to 60% of AMI. And so that would be another 100 units at the lower tier. And so that's, again, a project that we're doing now. And we're happy to continue to work on other projects, but it's always a question of availability of funding and financing. So again, we can commit to continue to look at those projects, and we have a fair amount of our own affordable housing that we can look to those programs with as well. But we agree that one of the goals that we'd like to do is to work towards increasing the number of lower income units, and we're doing that with our first project.
So it would seem to me that you, from a practical and economic standpoint, you want to look at the floor space on studio apartments for seniors with a value of additional floor space for other use as well. So you would think that that would be something you would come up with right away, but we never saw that.
It was a project.
Why wouldn't you just see that as an obvious kind of factor to be already
I mean,
implemented?
again, it's something that we're happy to look at. We did look at it at an early stage for the first project, and the lamp project seemed to be like, one of those when the stars align with the financing, so we did that project first. So, but, I mean, if the funding is there and the financing, the programs are available, it's certainly something that we can do.